Hey everybody, Ash here. If you've watched the other videos, you've heard me talk about master hand and the other hand. Just doing a little quick video tonight. Got some rain coming in, so we'll see what happens with that. Should be a good time. We still got weird weather going on. It's Florida in the summertime. So talked about master grip, talked about the other hand, the reaction hand, whatever you want to call it, right? In our overall shot process, we haven't even reached stability yet. Okay, all we're doing is we worked on grip. We're about almost 30 minutes into this, and all we've talked about is grip. Okay, so I got my my little trusty BB gun here. Okay, so I established my master grip, and I've done my other hand grip. Okay, I'm ready to shoot the pistol-ish. Okay, all I've done right here is I've established grip. That's it. I've done nothing else in my shot process. So that tells you how early we are, even though we've been talking about this for 30 minutes now, how early we are in that process. Okay, overall what I'm trying to achieve is stability. Now for shooting pistols up close, basically all I need to do is that. Okay, we talk about stance, we talk about these other things. Stance is coming from, if you're doing fighting things with the gun, the stance is a fighting stance, right? So if you haven't done any sort of fighting, it's really hard to do that stance. Okay, but you should be running this pistol basically from where you're going to be fighting at, right? Now there's videos and Pat Mack and these dudes, do these videos where you're doing this and you're doing that. It shows how little stability you really need, right? So you don't need to be in some super super tiger swan stance and doing this thing and you're doing that, and you're not needing to do that really to shoot the pistol. Just depending on what you're doing, right? If you're fighting that way and that's how you fight, cool, but I want you to use the stance that you're fighting from. Right, but in that, even if you're doing the one-handed, on one foot type of thing, you're still going for stability. Now, when you talk about stability, it's not necessarily the stability of, if you're falling off the position or if you're on one foot, you're not on one foot. What the stability is are you able to aim the gun, right? So to the point where you can get an effective hit. Okay, so we talk about aiming the gun. I've talked about the other, the whole thing of aiming, where I've got the gross aiming, the macro aiming, and then the micro aiming, where I'm down on there. You're still doing that with a pistol, you're still doing that with the rifle, right? But basically what I'm going to do, if I draw this thing and I get the pistol and I come out, okay, if I'm shooting at a very large target, I can, people have demonstrated it, don't know why, but I can shoot without the sights, because we talked about with the other grip, basically the pistol's aimed, right? So if I'm stable enough to do that shot, then I continue on in my shot process, okay? If I'm not stable enough to aim at what I need to hit, okay, small target, low presentation of the target, I need to shoot past something, I need to do some things, it's going to take more than just throwing the gun up there and doing a shot, okay? If I need to shoot the house that's behind the camera, if I need to shoot the house, I can do that, shoot the house like that, right? That's as much aim as I need, right? But if I need to shoot a target center on a, X ring on a 50-yard target, I'm going to need more stability than that, okay? So that's what I'm talking about when we're building stability. I need to have enough stability to keep the sights on the target long enough to press the trigger and for the bullet to leave the muzzle, okay? So we're very early in the shot process, okay? Because first thing we need to do, if you remember back to the first video, we talked about grabbing the gun, okay? So that's where we are in that. So when I'm building stability, what I'm trying to do, if you just take the pistol and you hold it here, you'll notice that it's moving around a lot. And if you start moving the trigger on it, you start seeing that it's moving a lot there. The better I am at one-handed shooting, the less work that this hand has to do, okay? So I recommend practice in that, at least dry fire. If you are dry firing, there's big arguments of whether the Manus or a red dot, if you want to do those things. That's cool. Argue that if you want to. Manus gives me trackable stuff. Red dot is just for me. Whatever works for you, I don't care, right? I use the Manus. I don't have it on here tonight just because it's not a priority, but use the Manus, I can track it, I can see what's going on. So the better I'm shooting with this hand and the better I'm able to hold it on the target, the less work this hand has to do, okay? So I'm bringing it in here. Basically when I start doing this, if I'm pulling the pistol left and right, I need to move my finger on the trigger, okay? Or if I'm getting the pistol, I'm pulling it straight, okay? So all this hand is trying to do is stop it from doing that, right? Also, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hold it to where the gun is not shaking. I'm trying to hold it and do all those sort of things. Now with this hand, what I didn't talk about in the other video, this hand is basically going to crush. It's got one job. This hand has to do multiple things. It has to hold the gun and needs to press the trigger. This hand is holding gun. That's all its job is, right? So all I'm doing is I'm applying that crush and I'm stopping that so I can get that shot to go without major issues, okay? But that's all farther along in the shot process than we are, right? But if you remember to the first video I was talking about, I'm starting to put all this together. I'm starting to do this. It's a process to get an effect, right? So once I get hands on here, right, my stability here, if I go to aim at that target and I have time, and we're talking about practice, we're talking about bullseye type shooting, we're not talking about war fighting, okay? So if I come out here and let's say that I'm trying to do the Pat Mac, you're gonna have one foot up, right? So if I'm here and the gun is shaking a lot, move your feet, get stable, right? If you have that fighting stance and you're fighting from something, right? So if I'm in a nice athletic stance and I'm fighting from here, build that stance up as you're doing that, right? Just real quick on situational awareness, if you're standing here and suddenly you have to shoot the gun, you failed on a couple other things, right? It's not a shooting problem, that's a situational awareness, you know, type thing, because you didn't detect something that was going on and suddenly I have to start shooting, right? Now if you're doing IDPA, you're doing some stuff and you're here, there's nothing that says when you're in the surrender position that you have to be at the position of attention looking like you're an army dude. You can be in your stance, right? However you do. And you can be here. You can have everything when you're building that stability. You can have everything done except for having the gun in your hand. Okay, whatever that scenario has you, okay, you can have everything built. Now, but you need to know that, and you need to know that fighting stance, and that's why fighting things needs to be involved in your thing if you're talking about fighting with guns, right? Right now we're just talking about good marksmanship. So I'm just going to use a comfortable stance. Knees are going to be slightly bent so I can move around a little bit. I don't want to be locked out, because if you do that you'll pass out anyway. Ask an army dude, they'll tell you all about it, right? Knees slightly bent here, just ready to shoot, okay? So stability. Now when I go into rifle, I didn't bring the rifle out today because I'm outside and it's a little weird little neighborhood. But if I'm doing that with the rifle, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be establishing my grip and I'll be getting into that stance, and I'll be to where I can hold the rifle up. Now this hand is going to be reacting to where I can hold that rifle up if I'm doing this type of shooting and I'm shooting in a yard, 50 yards and doing that sort of stuff, doing transitions, then there's there. But if I'm doing precision shooting, then I'm going to be building that position however I'm doing that, right? Whether it's off the barricade or whatever. We're going to get into that later. But I just want to do a video just to talk about how small that is that we've talked about already, okay? So don't take it as, oh, I'm already on to aiming, right? Yes, we've started aiming. We started aiming with the pistol. We started aiming as soon as we grabbed a hold of it, okay? So that aim is, it's layers of stuff in that process. So by the time that I get the gun out here, if you think about it, I'll put this I'll take it out of my pocket here. Say I come out of the holster, I've already started my aim here. By the time that I get it here, I should be pretty much on the target already. So even though I'm well early in my shot process, I've started all that, so that makes this part very easy, okay? And that's what we're doing across the board. If I have proper grip, if I have proper aim, if I have a proper stance, if I have the strength and I have the gun in the right position, pressing the trigger is very easy. So that's just some things that I want you guys to think about as we're going through these videos. We're layering it, okay? So at this point, what I want you guys to do is I want you to basically take out your pen and paper, and you can type it if you like, okay? But I want you to write down, I want you to grab some sort of pistol, make sure it's clear, dry fire rules, all that sort of stuff, some sort of pistol or rifle, which you intend on shooting the most, and write down those steps to get to here. Make sure that you've hit everything: master hand or master grip, reaction hand, other hand, whatever, what this hand is doing, what your feet are doing, what your hips are doing, right? Because what I didn't talk about is you want your hips generally pointed towards the target, hips and shoulders, right? So if I see a target, my eyes are going to go there first, my head's going to follow it, I'm going to follow up my shoulders, then I'm going to follow it with my hips as much time as I have to do. If I'm standing here and I have to shoot something right there, that's the fastest shot. Okay, if I just have the rifle and I'm doing this thing and I snap the rifle up and I have to do that shot, but I should immediately be following with shoulders, hips, and getting into a good position. I'm probably going to be walking, right? So there's those things, but that's just where I want you guys to start getting this root down and start breaking it out and start breaking things into here, here, and here, and here, right? So that's tonight's video. Appreciate it. Check out Survival Art. That's why I wear their shirt tonight. Check them out. They're one of our sponsors. They're on Instagram, and if you need to find them, go to Quantified, look for the followers.